Missionary Flights International transports life-saving supplies and the hope of the gospel to affiliated missionaries in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas. I'm Joe Karabensh, President of Missionary Flights, and I'm here with JJ, our content strategist, and we have seen the impact of being able to respond to the needs that are brought about by disasters. And we've seen the increased efficiency of what our flights offer to the missionaries that are serving thousands in their community.
Yes, both of Missionary Flight's DC-3s constantly are carrying supplies. Actually, they can carry up to 4 tons, or if we load it with passengers, 24 passengers and their baggage. And in 2020 alone, even in the midst of COVID, we still flew 500,000 pounds of cargo and over 2,000 passengers to Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas. And Joe and I are here, we're asking for your help as we stand in the gap.
During certain times of the year, Missionary Flights experiences a high demand for passenger and cargo service, a demand that we simply can't meet. Additionally, we may have one of our airplanes grounded because of extensive maintenance, and that also limits our availability for the aircraft to be operating in times of a disaster.
Imagine if we added a third plane to our fleet. Actually, a third plane would increase our efficiency of operation. A third airplane would allow for us to always have 2 planes on rotation, and it would even open up opportunities for our pilots to be able to go overseas and stay with the short-term teams. Well, the reality of a third plane is next door, literally next door. You all may remember that in 2015, we obtained a third turbine DC-3 from South Africa. It was in pieces, but 2 years later, in 2017, we flew it under the newly assigned registration of 300 MF to Fort Pierce and began the refurbishment process. Let's go next door and we'll see where 300 Mike Fox is in its refurbishment.
Honestly, over the last few years, the work on this project has been really slow. After disassembly, for a thorough inspection, we realized that there was much more needed repair work that needed to be done. In addition, our pilot and mechanic staff over the last 5 years has really decreased, and we simply don't have enough experienced mechanics that can dedicate their time to this refurbishment project.
And really, it's time that we finish this project. Missionaries are waiting on us. They're calling, they're wanting our services, but our schedule is fairly full. And we simply do not have the availability of aircraft. God has also recently added 3 new pilots to our staff that will be ready to fly MFI's 300 Mike Fox just as soon as it is airworthy. Finishing 300 Mike Fox will help us provide more reliable transportation for missionaries. It's not a matter of if, but when the next natural disaster will happen. And we will need our planes in the air to help people. Having 3 working aircraft will help MFI better respond to the needs that surely will arise. Finally, we know that every box and passenger that we fly at Missionary Flights is for the purpose of carrying the gospel of Jesus Christ. Finishing 300 Mike Fox will mean just one more bird in the sky, transporting the good news, the best news that somebody is going to hear all day.
We need to finish 300 Mike Fox in order to carry more life-saving supplies and the hope of the gospel.
Honestly, it's a pretty big task, and I'm going to give you a pretty big number, but I'm confident that the Lord is going to help Missionary Flights reach this goal. MFI has been quoted $2 million to pay for the labor associated with the refurbishment of 300 Mike Fox. Additionally, MFI is going to need further funding for the necessary parts such as radios, instruments, and upgraded GPS units. We anticipate being able to do some of the labor ourselves, but much of the labor will still need to be hired out. All things considered, including rising costs, we're going to need $2 million to finish this project.
Now, I'm just a simple guy, but here is what I know. That because of missionary flights, the work of missionaries is made much more efficient. Secondly, we have been able to physically save lives with our flights. And thirdly, we have been able to change the stories of thousands of lives because we've been able to carry the hope of the gospel.
And there are multiple ways that you can give today to help us do this better. Visit the MFI website at www.missionaryflights.org/give. You can send a check to Missionary Flights at 3170 Airman's Drive in Fort Pierce, Florida. The zip code is 34946. In the memo line of your check, just write down that you would like for it to be placed towards MFI aircraft. And of course, you can always call our office at 772-462-2395 and ask to speak about additional giving needs and opportunities that we may have.
Again, your prayers and financial support help MFI to stand in the gap by transporting life-saving supplies and the hope of the gospel. Thank you so much for partnering with us.